6:15, this is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news edited by Dulmin Samarasinghe and read by Niranjan Abesundara. China assures continuous support to Sri Lanka to control the COVID pandemic. Teachers and the entire public service are to get justice by the forthcoming budget. Education Minister says opening of school to the beginning of September is uncertain. The need for national newspapers to publish news with responsibility emphasized. COVID vaccines are being given to breastfeeding and pregnant mothers. Treating COVID patients at home implemented island-wide. In world news, scientists say humanity's damaging impact on the climate is a statement of fact. Sports news, Japanese Prime Minister has thanked the country's people for helping to host the Tokyo Olympics. Chinese ambassador in Sri Lanka, Cheng Zhuyan, said that his government has given priority to support Sri Lanka to control and eradicate COVID. Accordingly, he said necessary donations and assistance will be given to Sri Lanka. He mentioned this during a discussion with the Health Minister Paithavani Aracha today at the Chinese Embassy. Health Minister appreciated the support given by Chinese government by providing essential medical equipment to save lives of the patients. Minister G.L. Piri said that justice will be done to teachers and to the entire public service by the forthcoming budget. The cabinet decision was to provide solutions by the forthcoming budget while considering the country's economic situation. He said today the plan of the government was to give the second dose of vaccine to teachers and non-academic staff before the end of August. The aim was to open schools in state from first week of September after giving both vaccine doses. However, it is uncertain to open school to the first week of September due to the present situation. The minister pointed out that online education is important under such a background. Therefore, he pointed out it is unfair for the teachers to move out of the online education. MP Sagar Karivasam said the national newspaper should not publish at the moment news reports to embarrass the government. The news report has been published under the headline Corona Unit valuing 8.9 million rupees removed in 3 months. He pointed out that Sri Lanka put on a perimeter commenced setting up Corona units. Political authorities at all levels have allocated funds in this regard. MP Karivasam said that 20 intermediate treatment centres set up at the cost of the party in May. Meanwhile, MP Sanjeev Edirimana explained about the details revealed today by a national newspaper about the COVID ward complex built of Kalthura Pimburi Hospital. New wards are built at hospitals with the announcement of the capacity of beds at hospitals in Kalthura area to be increased with the third COVID wave. Wards were set up at Ingiriya, Nagada and Pandura Ketumati hospitals. It is possible to provide 3 temporary COVID wards under the 10,000 beds project in 10 days. The wards that were not used were given to other hospitals. He said the newspaper had published the report incorrectly. Women and Gynecology Institute said that the vaccination of breastfeeding and pregnant mothers has commenced. Consultant Dr. Prasanna Gunasena said they can get the vaccine by visiting any main hospital or by reserving a time or telephone number 1906. He said that they do not have to stay in queues. But Gunasena said that Sri Lanka is prepared if there is a need for the third dose. Chairman of the Family Health Doctor Association, Dr. Malakanthi Galhena, said, since experiments to treat COVID patients at homes were successful, methodology was implemented covering the entire island today. Condition of 80% of COVID patients does not become serious. Dr. Galhena said that all advice is given to the patients if there is no special risk during the first week. A doctor will examine the patients for the 14 days since confirmation of being infected with the COVID. A patient can give an information with hotline number 1390. Deputy General Manager of Sri Lanka Transport Board, Panduka Swarnahangsa, said that they have added 4,000 SLBC buses into operation considering the COVID situation. He said passengers can travel only according to seat capacity. Meanwhile, Chairman of the Lanka Private Bus Owners Association, Gamani Vijayaratne, said private buses have limited their seating capacity to 50%. Representative of Sri Lanka to the State of Palestine, Nabalagi Bennett Kure, presented letters of credence to the Minister of Foreign Affairs of State of Palestine, Dr. Riyad Al-Malki, and the Minister of Foreign Affairs and Expatriates in Ramallah, Palestine recently. Mr. Madaki appreciated the long-standing ties with Sri Lanka and stated that Palestine is keen to expand the scope of bilateral cooperation in various aspects, especially with the development projects of the Palestinian International Cooperation Agency and reactivating the Sri Lankan project Mahinda Rajapaksa Vocational Training Centre in Betunia. Representative Kure pointed out that due to the prevailing global pandemic, it would take a while to process the starting of the Mahinda Rajapaksa Vocational Training Centre. Minister Al-Malki expressed his gratitude for the support extended at the start of the Sri Lankan government on the Palestinian cause. Representative Kure stressed the solidarity Sri Lanka shares with Palestine and its people and their right to establish an independent state. State Minister of National Heritage, Performing Arts and Rural Arts Promotion Vidura Vikramanayake was elected as the new president of the Sri Lanka-Romania Parliamentary Friendship Association recently at the revival meeting of the association for the 9th Parliament. The meeting was held on the patronage of Speaker Mahindayapa Abeyewardena, Ambassador of Romania to Sri Lanka Victor Chudia and Secretary General of Parliament Dhammika Dasanayake. Several ministers, state ministers and parliamentarians are present at the meeting. A freezer has been donated to the Panadura-based hospital to place COVID bodies. The donation has been made by philanthropist Sandhya Salgado. Media reports stated that bodies at the Panadura-based hospital have been placed outside the mortuary and is causing a huge health issue. Therefore, Mrs. Salgado has donated the freezer valued about 4 million rupees. Medical Superintendent of the Panadura-based hospital, Dr. Indrani Gorakanta, said 40 bodies can be placed in the freezer. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
Get a personal loan for your marriage, education or housing within 24 hours with People's Bank Digital Banking.
The Colombo Magistrate Court rejected the bail applications filed by 4 suspects, including the wife of MP Rishad Baduddin. The order was issued when the case regarding the death of a teenage domestic worker serving the Baduddin household was taken up today. The magistrate further remanded the suspects until the 23rd of this month. It is reported that farmers do not come to government paddy purchasing centres since large-scale rice mill owners purchase paddy for a higher price. Mr. Bandar Gundamadara said that a decision about the matter will be taken at today's cabinet meeting. The minister said that a fine imposed on such rice mill owners will be increased to 100,000 rupees. That ends local news for now.
Get a personal loan for your marriage, education or housing within 24 hours with People's Bank Digital Banking. People's Bank Digital Banking, your ultimate convenience.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Veda Mahatmya.
The Minister of Health said another 2,161 COVID patients have been discharged after recovering from the virus. This increases the country's coronavirus recoveries to 295,518. Sri Lanka has so far recorded 309,994 cases of COVID-19, while 29,065 patients infected with the virus are currently under medical care. Death toll to the virus stands at 5,111. That was the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Veda Mahatmya.
On to Watchlat Immigration. An Immigration Department has announced the validity period of all types of visas currently obtained by foreigners residing in Sri Lanka have been extended by 30 days from 8th of August to 7th of September. The department said only visa fees applicable for that period would be charged for the visas expiring within this period and is exempted from charging an overstay penalty. That came to you in Watchlight onto World News. Scientists in a landmark study say humanity's damaging impact on the climate is a statement of fact. Taliban push on while rejecting a truce in Afghanistan war. Nigerian Igbo Jewish leader arrested with Israel visitors freed. UN scientists in a landmark study say humanity is damaging the impact on the climate in a statement of fact. Reports say that ongoing emissions of warming glaciers could also see a key temperature limit broken in just over a decade. The authors also show that a rise in sea levels approaching 2 meters by the end of this century cannot be ruled out. There's a new hope that deep cuts in emissions of greenhouse gases could stabilize rising temperatures. The Taliban have rejected international calls for a ceasefire in Afghanistan as they push for new territory. They are reported to have overrun the key northern city of Kunduz as well as Saipol and Taloqan. Fierce fighting continues in 2 more northern cities. 5 regional capitals have fallen to militants since Friday, with Kunduz their most important game this year. The US and Afghan planes have carried out strikes on the militants. Afghan officials say dozens of Taliban had died. A leader of Nigeria's black Jewish community, jailed for a month without a charge after being arrested with 3 visitors from Israel, has been freed. Authorities suspect the visitors had links with the separatist group which had failed their arrival in Nigeria. Lisbon Aga from the Igbo ethnic group was released after appeals, including from another African country. Practicing Jews form a tiny faction of the Igbo population, one of the largest groups in multi-ethnic Nigeria. And back to the headlines of the world news. Scientists and landmark studies say humanity's damaging impact on the climate is a statement of fact. Taliban push on by rejecting a truce in Afghanistan war. Nigerian Igbo Jewish leader arrested with Israeli visitors freed. That was world news.
Development News is brought to you by
Quality matters than price. So as an engineer, I recommend Melva RB500. It's made with virgin billets using the latest technology. Melva RB500, number 1 in Sri Lanka. Truly Sri Lankan.
Win lakhs and lakhs with CIB Janajaya. 40% discount for your bills till 15th of August. 6 hand tractors at the Grand Row. CIB Janajaya.
The Environment Ministry is to designate Environmental Conservation Zone along the Kalni River from Hangabala to Paliagoda. Environment Minister Mahinda Amravira has instructed Central Environment Authority to mark the protected boundaries of all rivers as a measure to protect them from environmental pollution. That is Development News.
Development News was brought to you by
Quality matters than price. So as an engineer, I recommend Melva RB500. It's made with virgin billets using the latest technology. Melva RB500, number 1 in Sri Lanka. Truly Sri Lankan.
Win lakhs and lakhs with CIB Janajaya. 40% discount for your bills till 15th of August. 6 hand tractors at the Grand Row. CIB Janajaya.
Sports news. Japan's Prime Minister Suga Yoshihide has thanked the country's people for helping to host the Tokyo Olympics. Suga posted a video message on Monday on the Twitter account of the Prime Minister's office after the Olympics closed the previous day. Meanwhile, a member of Ghana's Paralympic team has tested positive for the coronavirus after arriving at the Narita airport near Tokyo. The team is made up of 3 athletes and 7 staff members. They plan to hold their training camp in the town of Inomashiro, Fukushima Prefecture from Monday to 23rd of August. Teenager Yannick Sinner won the City Open in Washington Sunday to claim the biggest title of his career. The Italian 19 years beat the USA's Mackenzie McDonald 7-5, 4-6, 7-5 for his 3rd ATP title. Sinner also became the youngest winner of an ATP final event since the category was created in 2009. That was sports news.
Contributory deposit of 1,000 rupees from NSB when your child enters grade 1. Open a Hapan Children's Service account for your kid today. Higher interest. Conditions apply. Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Bank of Ceylon has opened 2 more branches in Anuradhapura. Deputy General Manager Operations and Studying P.R. Silva said branches are opened along with the modern technology and with 82 years of pride. That was Business News.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money. Contributory deposit of 1,000 rupees from NSB when your child enters grade 1. Open a Hapan Children's Service account for your kid today. Higher interest. Conditions apply.
Economic news. Land valuation in Colombo has increased by 6.8% in the first 6 months of this year. It now stands at 155.1 in the land valuation index. It shows a growth of 9.5 annually. That is economic news.
Weather Report was sponsored by
Dialogue in partnership with the Ministry of Education introduces Nanasa, a trilingual educational mobile app with video-based lessons for grade 1 to A-levels. Now your child can study with ease on your mobile with no subscription fee.
Met Department says showers will occur at several places in the western, Sabaragamu and central provinces and the Gaul and Mathura districts. Shower and showers occur at a few places in the Uva province and in the Ampane and Bettikal district during the evening or night. Fairly strong winds can be expected in the Hambantota district. That was the weather report.
Weather report was sponsored by
Dialogue, in partnership with the Ministry of Education, introduces Nanasa, a trilingual educational mobile app with video-based lessons for grade 1 to A-levels. Now your child can study with ease on your mobile with no subscription fee.
Back to the headlines of the news. China assures continuous support to Sri Lanka to control the COVID pandemic. Teachers and entire public service are to be given justice by the forthcoming budget. Education Minister says opening of school in the beginning of September is uncertain. The need for national newspapers to publish news with responsibility emphasized. COVID vaccine are being given to breastfeeding and pregnant mothers. Treating COVID patients at homes implemented island-wide. In world news, scientists say humanity's damaging impact on the climate is a statement of fact. In sports news, Japanese Prime Minister has thanked the country's people for helping to host the Tokyo Olympics.